Hello and welcome to the Press Start podcast, Press Start Australia's weekly video game discussion podcast. I'm your host, Ewan, joined today by my fellow gamers and co-hosts, Kieran.
Hello.
And Harry.
Hello.
Today we're going to be talking about rumours of an upcoming PlayStation showcase, the latest on Hollow Knight Silksong. Could it actually be happening? Could it be imminent? And Tales of Kenzera Zhao as well. If I start off the bat, have I pronounced that correctly?
I think you did, yeah.
Kenzera Zhao? Excellent, cool.
I believe you did.
But first, I want to talk about what you guys are playing, because this is often a topic I dig out when we're maybe light on news, or it's been a little while since we've kind of got together and I'm eager to kind of catch up. But I'm kind of genuinely curious at the moment because I sort of feel like I'm in need of some inspiration. I am like struggling to kind of find a game that like really kind of resonates with me and gets its like hooks in me right now. And I'm wondering if you guys are feeling the same, or if you've maybe kind of got something that you're like totally absorbed by that I'm missing out on. Harry, maybe we'll start with you. Like what are you playing at the moment? Give me some advice.
Yeah, there were sort of two games I've been playing for the last couple of weeks. I picked up Dragon's Dogma 2 when that came out and played probably 10 or so hours of that.
Okay.
And put it down for no reason other than like there was other stuff that I'd started that came out a while ago that I felt like I needed to get back to. So I wrapped up Infinite Wealth last night, which I had a great time with overall. I was a bit sour on the ending, but like it's still another fantastic RGG experience. They just keep knocking it out the park. And the other game that I've been playing is Unicorn Overlord, which is Vanillaware's new game. That came out like early last month. And that is fantastic, like incredible. One of the best strategy RPGs I played. I was saying to Kieran the other day that it's probably tied for Game of the Year, or my Game of the Year, with Rebirth at the moment. Right. So yeah, that has been really, really good.
I sort of feel like if you're a JRPG fan, like it's a great time to be alive right now.
Absolutely.
Okay.
The start of this year for JRPGs has been
absurd.
Yeah.
I was going to say, like, Ewan's looking for recommendations. I don't think Unicorn Overlord is.
I just don't fall into that camp, unfortunately. Like, I was playing Rebirth. I made good headway in there, but Kieran, like, heard my tirade the other day when I was like, why am I at this beach,
all these
like,
mini games
doing all these mini games to get beach tokens to buy beach clothes? Like, let me get back to the action. So in my frustration, I started dabbling. I played a bit of Rise of the Ronin, and then I was just like, I just felt like I was going from grueling boss fight to grueling boss fight, and little was like keeping me interested in the game. Otherwise, like there was not much variance to the side missions. The story wasn't grabbing me. I'm like, why am I subjecting myself to this? I will say Dragon's Dogma 2, promising signs. I'm only early in the game, but like I kind of just did the part last night where you're fighting the Cyclops, and like you're kind of coming across your first kind of boss fight, and that kind of pretty soon after like giving you a taste of the dragon battle, I was like, okay, I'm liking what this game is putting down, so I think I need to give that one a bit more time still. I was getting a little bit frustrated by the combat initially because I just wanted to like lock onto some enemies and do some dodging. That didn't seem to be an option available to me. But yeah, promising signs there. Kieran, what about you? Have you got any recommendations?
Balatro.
Yeah. Yep. Yep, that still a lot of. And Dragon's Dogma 2 as well. I don't think I'm making much headway in the story because I've just, like, every time I play it, I just find myself distracted by something. Which, like, after, like, doing heaps of reviews and stuff, like, it's nice to just take a game slow. Yeah. And, like, play it at a proper pace and, like, kind of just let myself enjoy it, which has been really good.
Yeah. I think the best thing I can say about it at the moment as well, right? Like it gives me kind of Skyrim-y sort of vibes, or maybe even like Witcher 3 vibes, where it presents a side quest to you, but it kind of feels like this like sense of urgency to it, and it kind of makes the point that like you can save up and bank up your quests, but they may not be available to you later, or it might be different by the fact that you're waiting. And so even, you know, when a soldier's gone missing, I feel compelled to go out and try and find them, because if I leave it much longer, they're going to be a corpse. Yeah.
And you also know, like, you also really get the sense that, like, a lot of the things you do, if you do them when they're there, like, it's going to benefit you later as well. Like, that soldier will probably show up somewhere in a later quest and make that quest easier or different. Like, it's cool.
Yeah. Even like I came across this girl like stood outside of a potion store. Like again, if you played the intro, like this will be very familiar to you, I'm sure. But I was like, is she gonna kind of become sort of evil witch with this potion that I'm giving her? Is she gonna come back and bite me, or is she actually gonna come in and like save the day?
Is it just like the dried fruit or whatever? Like
yeah.
And you're
I
like,
don't trust her.
This is sinister.
I don't know this world. Maybe she's like shape-shifting kind of evil witch. I don't know. So yeah, anyhow, early signs for Dragon's Dogma. Did you have something else you wanted to mention?
What else have I been playing? I feel like there was content warning. I played a bit of the last couple of nights. Like a little bit with friends, but mostly just with randoms. And like, if you've ever looked at a game like Lethal Company or like any of those games and been like, I don't have enough like friends who are committed to play this or whatever, like download this game and just like jump in, because the experience with strangers is so good.
Oh, okay. So does it like how does I must admit I'm not kind of like I've seen it kind of doing the rounds on TikTok and stuff, but I'm not really sure like how it works. Is it
so like essentially the premise is like it's kind of like a parody of Lethal Company. So like in the way that those games get popular because of the viral videos that are like generated out of like what people do in them. So the idea in this game is to make those viral videos. So you and like up to 3 other people like go like into this like underground with just like procedurally generated like spooky shit. And one of you has a camera, the other one's like holding torches. You can unlock some other stuff like boom mics and stuff as well. And you just kind of go down there and you just try to film scary shit with like a limited amount of film, a limited amount of battery, and then you like have to escape with the film that you've recorded back up to the surface and like upload it to SpookTube, it's called. And then you make money, and then the money gets you upgrades, and you just like that's like the cycle.
Amazing.
So it's just like it's very funny. Like the spooky shit that happens just comes out of nowhere, and it's very funny when you like catch it properly on film, or if you like miss it and you just end up uploading a video of just like blank hallways and stuff because you ran out of film. Like everything that happens is just like procedurally just funny. So I think it's like $11. It was free for the first 24 hours, but if you missed it, it's like $11. It's like nothing.
Yeah, I'm looking at it on Steam now. It's $11.79.
Yeah.
Very affordable.
So well worth checking out. And
also it's got like a matchmaking element to it as well, I guess.
It has matchmaking, so you can just drop in and people turn up. But yeah, nice. that I've been playing a bit of, and a little bit of Rock Band 4 with the Riff Master.
I was speaking to Shannon last night as he was playing Rock Band as well. It's amazing.
Yeah.
What world are we living in where that's a normal thing we do again? Yeah,
it's so good.
Is it good, the controller? Do you like it?
So far, yeah. It works like you'd expect.
Yeah.
Like the game picked it up right away. It feels good to play. Like it folds up nicely. It's good, yeah.
Yeah, I love that it just kind of collapses down and like all snaps together in the assembly of it as well. It's kind of like a high-tech, high-tech piece of gear, really.
Yeah.
An analog stick on it as well? I don't think we've had
analog stick, which is really cool. I think on the box it says like analog stick patent pending, so like they've obviously like invented the idea
of putting an analog stick on a guitar.
Yeah.
Crazy. All right, well, let's crack on then with the rest of the show and some news that we've got to talk about. Thank you very much for those recommendations. And we spoke about it before that we started recording, Kieran, but of Love and Eternity as well. I downloaded that demo. It looks like a really cool lo-fi horror game.
I'm glad I randomly came across that. Yeah.
Yeah. No, okay, cool. This is good. I feel like I've got a bit of a list to go through now. All right. The first bit of news I want to chat about today is the big PlayStation showcase that is rumored to be taking place next month. The word showcase always gets me going. I love when that's tacked on behind, particularly the word PlayStation. Obviously, it's kind of suggests it's going to be a bigger sort of thing than a state of play, but this news comes the way of frequent leaker Jeff Grubb, who indicated something size was shaping up in May. It wasn't clear if it was a showcase versus a state of play, but something kind of bigger than the ordinary, I suppose. Given Silent Hill 2 was recently rated by the ESRB as well, its thought a release date could be confirmed for the game. So that's kind of the first inkling as to what we might be about to see. Harry, I'm going to come back to you on this. Assuming this is the case, is there anything in particular you would like to see from PlayStation, or would a Silent Hill 2 release date kind of be enough for you?
Yeah, Silent Hill release date would be cool. I have to admit, like, I haven't actually played Silent Hill 2. I played the first game. I need to play 2. So, like, the remake isn't something that's, like, particularly on my radar until I played the original, at least.
You want to play the original Silent Hill 2 before?
Yeah, I do.
The remake?
I do.
Okay.
I don't know. Maybe... What, sorry?
I said you want to ruin the remake for yourself ahead of time.
Yeah.
Maybe playing the better version.
I mean, because I started playing Silent Hill 1 before 2 remake was confirmed, and I was really surprised at how much I enjoyed Silent Hill 1. Like, it holds up really well for a PS1 game. So yeah, everyone says that 2 is better, so I'm really interested to see what that's like. In terms of what else I would like to see, I think something Spider-Man adjacent would be cool. Either some DLC for 2 or this Venom game that is meant to be coming at some point soon. But I don't know how realistic that is, given we're only 6 months out from release for the second game. So yeah.
I kind of hope that we see more of what this year has in store from PlayStation. Like, it still feels kind of pretty light on at this point in time. I still sort of feel like it's kind of too early to see like a Wolverine. Ghost of Tsushima 2, I sort of feel like still could be on the cards. But I'm kind of, I don't know, less sure of that one than I perhaps was like at this point.
I'm really uncertain. I don't think we'll get a big like Sony AAA game this year, like we have the last few years with Spider-Man and Ragnarok. I'm sure we'll get something, but I don't think they'll have like a hallmark kind of title that everyone is going to be talking about and wanting to get.
Yeah, just the fact, like, if it is indeed a showcase, I kind of hope that we would see something. Even if it's kind of like some sort of...
Yeah, Metal Gear as well.
Yeah, it could well be sort of Metal Gear kind of slotting in to later this year, alongside Silent Hill. That would make a lot of sense. You're right. What about yourself, Kieran? Have you got any wish list of sorts?
I just want a new Astrobot. I want them to like...
Oh, yeah.
I want them to like reveal the PS5 Pro at this showcase and then be like, the free launch game is like Astrobot, but it's like 8K ray tracing, like fucking, every like facet of his like metallic body is just reflecting the world. Like, I just want like that to be like what they lead with, like they did with the PS5 as like the pack-in game. I think that would be really cool.
It totally didn't occur to me that this could well be like the PS5 Pro announced. So that makes a lot of sense, I reckon.
Yeah, I feel like if they weren't going to announce it at this, they probably are now, or at least acknowledge it.
Yeah. I sort of feel like we're getting more and more news about the PS5 Pro sort of by the day as well.
Yeah.
Like, there was kind of all of the spec stuff that we spoke about last week. I noticed this week there was discussion about like labels being put onto games that are PS5 Pro enhanced, which makes a lot of sense, and it's kind of much in the same way they approach the PS4 Pro as well. Yeah. That seems like a done deal, actually. You've sold me.
Yeah. I feel like maybe even a similar thing with Insomniac after they kind of had that big leak. We may even just see like a sizzle reel of like, here's a little bit of a Wolverine tease, here's a Venom tease, here's like kind of what we're working on in the future, just because they know it's already all out there.
Yeah, there's no point in like hiding it,
right? Like kind of face it and be like...
And the timeline for Venom wasn't too long after too, right? Like it was a year and a half or something, similar to Miles Morales. Like,
So...
Yeah. Where do you think like Summer Games Fest kind of slots into all of this? Because if this is kind of taking place, I guess it depends on how sizable it really is, but it'll only be 2 months kind of before the big kind of Summer Game Fest typical showcase event. Do you think it is then maybe kind of a bit more conservative come July, or the other way around?
I hope that it is. I hope that like... Because obviously Ubisoft just confirmed that they've got a thing happening for around Summer Game Fest. I just like, it doesn't make sense to me to keep putting things in that month anymore. No. Now that E3's like gone, like Summer Game Fest is cool, like that event itself. But I don't like clustering all the other ones around it. Just like
everything else is around that.
Like, it doesn't make sense.
I feel they can kind of like own the news cycle in a week of their own.
Yeah. I feel like if you've got the stuff to show, which, like, if this is real, then Sony obviously has the stuff to show. Like, get it out there rather than kind of just dive into this, like, murky, like, everyone's announcing everything.
Yeah. Yeah, I kind of hope they still have some sort of presence in, like, the Summer Games Fest showcase, or, like, the opening night live, whatever it's called.
Keely loves a bit of a PlayStation exclusive. So.
Yeah. So, maybe we kind of see... I don't know. I'm getting my hopes up, but maybe we see more of, like, what Sony Bend are up to, kind of within that sort of context, or that level of an announcement.
Yeah.
I think we spoke about it a bit last week, but I was listening to the Kind of Funny guys kind of talking more about what Sony Bend could be up to, and whether or not they kind of picked up the Last of Us factions from Naughty Dog and continued it on there. Part of me really wishes that was true. I kind of hope that would happen.
Like, it could be.
Yeah, you never know.
Yeah.
You also have like Bungie as well. Like Marathon should be getting some new info soon as well.
Yeah.
And if the showcase is next month, it's a month before the final shape, which Bungie is starting to ramp up on marketing next week. So,
do you reckon they talk about what's next before putting that out?
As in Marathon or Destiny?
Well, Bungie, like, specifically. Do they?
Oh, right. Well, I mean, I don't think they're really... This hero shooter that they've had in the works for a while, I don't think we're going to hear about for some time. Like, their focus for Bungie right now squarely is on Marathon and the final shape.
Yeah.
And the final shape is June. I think they said Marathon is, like, next year. But I think they were targeting next year, but they weren't sure. But I know that they wanted to do a lot of testing and stuff. And I don't know if that was the end of this year or early next year. But I wouldn't be surprised if we got something Marathon adjacent in this showcase, even if it's just like another teaser trailer or something.
Yeah. Well, excited for it if it's true. Like I said, keen to see what PlayStation have planned for the rest of the year, because it does feel a little light on at this point in time. Speaking of things that we haven't really kind of heard much about, though, and hope to see more of before the end of the year is upon us. Hollow Knight Silksong has been rated in South Korea and appears on the Xbox Store. I can't remember, like, a game that's kind of been more will they won't they since The Last Guardian, personally. Like,
I feel like there's something every 2 months with Hollow Knight where it's like, it's been rated here, oh, it's on the storefront here, and then it gets taken down, or it's in some database or something. It happens all the time.
I was kind of reading up about it before, and was reminded that it was announced back in 2019. I was like, I swear it was, like, longer ago than that, but actually 2019 was 5 years ago now. We're in 2024. That really crept up on me. Kieran, what should we kind of infer from this week's news around Hollow Knight Silksong? Do you think it is imminent?
Should infer and want to infer are two different things.
Oh, you and I are the same, huh?
The fact that I've played this as well, like, at PAX, is, like, wild to me. Which would have been like 5 years ago.
Like, it wasn't a behind closed door thing.
It was on the Nintendo booth.
Yeah.
Like, it was like a random, and like nobody was playing it. It was
that
like
when
there.
it was planned to be an expansion though, or
yeah.
I
think it was. Yeah.
Jeez, I've forgotten about that as well.
Yeah, that's wild.
It's a full sequel now. Like,
yeah. I think like when kind of people started noticing that it went up on the Xbox Store, my initial reaction was like, cool, like, stuff, like, it's already on the PlayStation Store and Steam and stuff. Like,
it was probably sat on someone's to-do list, and they're just gone, like, I've got a bit of a quiet day.
but then like the ID at Xbox account retweeting it, Sarah Bond retweet, it's like stuff like that. I'm like, either they know something or they're just, like, playing off of like everyone's,
and like some of the devs themselves, right? Like, tweeted about
like,
it.
I think they're like their marketing lead or whatever, like, said something about it. Like, I don't know. That kind of felt weird.
That gives it a whole lot more kind of credibility than I think it otherwise would.
A little bit,
like, just the fact that sort of happened, it just kind of feels like marketing machinations kind of like spinning up again. Maybe kind of in the lead up to, like, that July sort of period that we typically see the announcements.
I can see this being like the next, like, big Game Pass shadow drop, to be honest. Of them just coming out either during a showcase or, like, out of the blue and being like, here it is.
Yeah, I 100% agree. I can see that happening for sure. Harry, like, given it has kind of been so long, and I suppose the game has kind of, as we've discussed, kind of evolved over time too, has your expectations for it changed in any way? Is your kind of wish list for the game changed in light of other entries in the genre that we've seen in the time since it was announced?
Not really. I still think Hollow Knight is probably the best in like indie Metroidvania, maybe tied with like Axiom Verge. It's just like so fantastic, and I don't think that all I really want is more of that with Silksong, and like sort of a cool kit to interface with, like playing as Hornet and things like that. If there's one thing that I kind of expect or rather hope for, given like how long it's been, is a shadow drop. I hope that when we do get more info on it or the next trailer or whatever it is, that it's coming out that day. Because like if we get a trailer and then it's like, yeah, it's out in 6 months, like it'd be a little, not a bummer, but like it would just be really cool to have the wait just come to a grinding halt like that and the game is just out. They did the same thing with Axiom Verge 2 as well. Like yeah.
I have a kind of love-hate relationship with shadow drops. Like, and obviously it's a pleasant surprise and it's exciting when it happens, but also with the exception of this very moment, like I'm typically kind of budgeting my time when it comes to like upcoming releases. Like, right, this comes out here, I'm gonna play it for like 2 weeks until the next game comes out. Whereas like when a shadow drop happens, it's like, oh my god, like this has thrown my plans into disarray. What do I do now? But yeah, I think
you need to plan to do nothing all the time.
Just
and then you'll always have room for it.
Always room for shadow drops. Huh?
Always roll the punches. Always be ready. All right. Well, speaking of side scrolling, I don't know if Metroidvania necessarily applies. I haven't played. Yeah, Metroidvania applies.
Yeah.
Tales of Kenzera Zao will be a day one launch for PlayStation Plus Extra. The upcoming EA Originals title will be part of the games catalog for those that kind of subscribe at those more premium levels. So most people most people, I think, is probably a fair assumption, but just at the essentials level that kind of get you access to online multiplayer, that kind of thing. But if you're paying the premium for extra and deluxe, it's going to be available to you as part of that game's catalog. Kieran, remind me, has this been done before? Have we seen a new game come out and go straight into one of these games catalogs?
Yeah, we've seen new games new to PlayStation or new to consoles drop, like Teardown.
Right.
Was one. Foam Stars is one that was brand new.
Oh yeah,
that didn't go well, but that's an example
what
of it.
What are you talking about?
I feel like there's a couple I'm not remembering, but yeah, it's definitely happened.
Do you think it's likely to work in the game's favor?
I think so. Especially like, yeah, I don't know. I feel like it's a good fit for this game specifically because it is such like a culturally rich game. And it is something that, like, from everything that I've seen from like the team behind it, Surgent Studios, like interviews that they've done, and like even like I think it was the Game Awards where they introduced it.
Yeah,
like it looks like they're super passionate, and you kind of want to root for them. So I feel like giving more people access to it is a really good move.
I suppose like any kind of new IP as well, like it kind of doesn't have the sort of benefit of like that natural kind of excitement that comes from the lineage. So like anything that kind of gives it a better chance of like being part of the conversation and drawing extra eyeballs to it as well. Like I'm a big fan.
Yeah, absolutely.
And, you know, much in the same way, if it was coming to Game Pass, I would also kind of feel like that would be a pretty good sort of move for it. If it just makes it more accessible to people, that's always a bonus. Harry, what are your excitement levels like for the game? Is it one you've got your eye on?
Yeah, I'm interested. I haven't played the demo, but like, I mean, any Metroidvania that looks like quite polished and considered, I get pretty excited for, or at least interested to see how it lands. I think that like the beauty of the genre is that like, you know, and we see it so often with indie games, like these titles just often come out of nowhere and they're just like gobsmackingly good. And I think that's why people love Hollow Knight and Axiom Verge, and like there's an opportunity for that with this. And putting it on PS Plus Deluxe is a great way to get more eyes on it. Especially given it's a genre that like people that, you know, mainstream gamers, I guess, are more reserved. You know, they're not so willing to jump into. So I'm really excited to see where it lands and how it plays when it comes out.
Yeah, I'm definitely kind of in a mood for this kind of style of game. Like, I loved Prince of Persia: The Lost Crown. Like, I think that's probably my favorite game of the year so far. I've been meaning to get to Ultros as well, which was kind of like similar side-scrolling, very kind of stylized. It's that kind of psychedelic sort of art style. I remember Brody playing that game and absolutely loving that as well. So I'm keen to find time for that. And with this one coming out too, I feel it's a pretty good year for people that love a side-scrolling Metroidvania game. Imagine if we do get Silksong as well. It'd be nuts.
Yeah, it'd be crazy.
Yeah, it might suddenly become a battle of finding time to play all of these. But yeah, for that reason, I'm excited for Tales of Kenzera as well. And to your point as well, Kieran, like the kind of culturally rich aspect of it as well. It's like lots that have been kind of untapped in the in the medium, I suppose. So from that aspect of it as well, I'm really keen to see what they do. What's your kind of attitude towards the EA original program as a whole? Like, I thought it's kind of like in the news this week as well, because we had It Takes Two, the sales data around that coming out, and sold something like 16 million copies. Kind of unreal. Like,
it did really well.
Is EA on Originals like a massive success in your mind, Kieran?
I think so. I think, like, as far as like their goals go, like their output, like there's obviously games that have done really well, and there's games that haven't done as well. Like Wild Hearts is probably a good example of one that didn't quite land.
Yeah. Immortals of Avium kind of obviously
Immortals of Avium.
Notable.
It feels like the bigger budget ones are the ones that aren't landing with them.
They still like almost reviewed quite well though, right? Like, I seem to remember Wild Hearts having fairly positive reception despite like shoddy performance, and I've heard good things about Avium as well.
Avium is really good, but it just both of those just didn't really land. But then you get like It Takes Two, which is obviously went gangbusters. And
in the program as well, we've had A Way Out as well.
Yeah, A Way Out.
Unravel. You might have mentioned Unravel, but I liked those two games as well.
Yeah. I think in such as like making sure that these games actually get released and the creators can do what they want to do with them and have that backing without being constricted by, like, you know, big publisher, even though it is EA. Like, I feel like they give the teams a lot of creative freedom and just kind of like that extra push, which is really good. So yeah, I'm a fan of it.
Yeah, I think it's produced some really good games, and it's kind of brought people into the industry that are, you know, quite notable now, and we've got some fantastic sort of games out of it, but. Yeah, I don't know if it's quite like cleaned EA's image in quite the way that they perhaps hoped it would. Like, I don't know if they've kind of necessarily earned the goodwill out of doing this that they perhaps wanted to get out of it. Maybe I'm being kind of maybe I'm kind of belittling them a little bit too much in that sort of regard. But yeah, I'm pleased that they are doing this and they're kind of sticking with it, and we're getting more games with it. I kind of hope to see that continue.
It's cool that it shined the spotlight on so many studios and projects that otherwise you know, might not have seen the light of day in the way that they are. Like, there's obviously a lot of creative freedom involved in that, and I mean, props to EA for allowing development teams to be so fluid and flexible in what they produce.
Yeah, it's almost even when it comes to like booking spots or presentations, right? Like, these games have received a lot of the attention.
Yeah, it almost feels like they're one of the only like big AAA level publishers still doing something like this as well. Like, you look at Sony, for example. Yeah, they had like Media Molecule and Pixel Opus and stuff doing cool shit like Concrete Genie and Dreams and all that. And like a lot of those have just kind of like fallen aside.
Yeah, it's very true.
So it's good to see that they are still keeping up with it
and like taking risks and stuff. Like
yeah, and investing in new IP as well. Like, I think that's hugely important. I kind of fear that like we'll get to the same point in the games industry. Maybe you could argue we're already there, where like it's very risk adverse and you just kind of get sequels and annualized franchises, much in the same way that like Hollywood's kind of gone, right? That would be a sad state of affairs. So yeah, EA Originals I give a lot of credit for. All right, I have a rapid fire question for the two of you. Hellblade 2 studio Ninja Theory thinks fans, quote, enjoy shorter, focused games, according to an interview between studio head Don Matthews and IGN. My question to you both, rapid fire question to you both, is do you agree? Do you enjoy shorter, focused games? Harry?
It depends on the genre, but yes, broadly.
Kieran?
Abso-fucking-lutely.
Yeah, I could not agree more. Give me more like shorter focus games.
Speaking of just like time and like trying to fit these games in, like if you're asking me for an investment of like more than 20 hours,
Make it
like,
worthwhile, yeah.
make it worthwhile or I'm out. Like,
Yeah,
Totally.
100%.
like I will give a game I'm unsure about more time if I know it's a short experience than I would a game that like I'm sure about but is like 100 hours.
Yeah. Like, I think... oh, God, this
Just
is
to answer
less
your
rapid fire now.
question.
Yeah. But I think this is
Do we
my
want
problem
shorter
with Rise...
focused answers? You
I think this is my problem in Rise of the Ronin, right? It's like, I was looking at that game going, look, I probably could, like, play this for another kind of 10 hours in the hope that I'm going to get something more out of it, but... I'm kind of like making that judgment call now that like I just don't think I am gonna get the satisfaction out of the game that I kind of hoped it could. Particularly with I think it was you, Harry, saying you kind of really disappointed by like the final third or the final act of it, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. That was very much in my mind too. Anyhow, rapid fire, shorter focus question responses. What the Wiki is the Press Start podcast game show with the previous week's winner. It's part of a Wikipedia page for an unknown game, and we, the contestants, must guess the game. A point is awarded for each correct guess, with the round concluding after someone's bagged themselves 2 points. If you get them consecutively, you get a bonus point as well, which, Kieran, I think is what you did last week, if I'm not mistaken.
I mean, I feel like it's a little easier when there's only 2 people guessing.
Yeah, and you're up against me. Like that certainly works in your favor. But that moved you up into second spot, tied with Shannon and myself. James still has this annoying 12-point lead. Sorry, he's on 12 points, so it's what, a 5-point lead. We really need to like try and close this gap whilst he is away. I don't think he's away much longer, so we need some moves.
It's on you, Ewan.
It's on me, yeah. Brody is just behind us on 6, and Harry, you are on 4. And Kieran, you are hosting today as last week's winner. Take it away when you're ready.
All right. I don't know if these are going to be easy or difficult, but there is a theme.
Okay.
There is a theme.
There is a theme.
So game number 1 is an adventure game viewed from the first-person perspective using VR. Either the HTC Oculus Rift, Oculus Quest, or PlayStation VR headset.
Mm-hmm.
The player is shown in-game as a masked face and orb, and unlike most games, the main character is aware of the player. The player controls the main character, navigating environments and battling enemies. They can also manipulate the environment to navigate obstacles and solve puzzles. The main character communicates with the player through the use of American Sign Language for puzzle hints and emotional responses. The player can change positions to have different perspectives of the world, leaning around to see buildings or standing up and getting an aerial view. There are collectible scrolls that can only be found by changing positions and exploring parts of the world that normally cannot be seen. I wondered if this was going to be difficult. Ewan.
The adventure and like Mars thing has kind of thrown me. Is it Moss?
It is Moss.
Let's go.
Very good. All right. Oh no.
I did think maybe it was going to be Astro's. What was it? Astro World.
Astrobot
yeah.
Rescue Mission.
Yeah.
Astrobot Rescue Mission. That was it. I did think it was going to be that for a second, but then like the fantasy stuff made me think.
The silence at the end of that paragraph, I was like, oh no, I fucked up. I made this too difficult.
They don't know it.
All right, game number 2. The gameplay is nearly identical to the original version of the game, aside from reworked controls. Progression through the game occurs in cycles. Beginning at a central point in a landscape, the player seeks out and defeats enemies and is returned to the central point to repeat the process. Most of these enemies are located in remote areas such as atop cliffs or within ancient structures. I'm going to read this part anyway. Players are able to choose from several options when playing. On a standard PlayStation 4, the game runs at a 1080p resolution at 30 frames per second. I don't know why this is in this bit.
Harry.
Returnal.
No.
No.
Oh.
PlayStation 4.
Oh no, PlayStation 4, yeah.
On a PlayStation 4 Pro, the game can run it either at 1440p resolution at 30 frames per second or 1080p at 60 frames per second. The idea for a remake had come after a conversation the developers had. They wanted to create a new definitive version of the original game, and after speaking with friends at Sony Japan, it was agreed upon. Producer Randall Lowe and technical director Peter Dalton stated in an interview with Game Informer that the original was on many of their employees' top 5 of all-time list.
Wow. It sounds like we should know what this game is.
Oh, where do I go from here?
Remake. I'm still so hung up on like seeking out enemies and like cliff tops and
I keep thinking about
ruins.
cycles.
And
The remake's
cycles.
development was led by Bluepoint.
Harry.
Oh.
Shadow of the
Harry.
Colossus HD.
Yeah. Well, yeah.
Yeah.
I'll give you that. It's Shadow of the Colossus.
Well done.
Game number 3. Sorry, Ewan. No bonus point.
Nah, that's all right. I'm happy to just have 1 point. Is he strategizing? What is this?
Well,
What is
now
this
I'm like,
pregnant pause, this thinking.
similar to its predecessors, the game is a first-person shooter set in an open-world environment which the player can freely explore on foot or via various vehicles. Unlike previous titles in the series where the player takes on the role of a set character, the game gives the player the opportunity to customize their character's appearance. The character in this game is a silent protagonist, devoid of voice dialogue or a predefined personality, offering players a chance to deeply immerse themselves in the game, yet sparking concerns about the potential impact on the depth of narrative engagement.
Classic.
Yeah. Creative director Dan Hay described the design of the open world as being modeled on the outposts from previous titles in the series. I'm going to skip ahead. This is terrible.
Do you reckon we should have it by now? Or is this...
Nah, I've just picked a terrible paragraph. So, here we go. Announced in early 2017, development on the game was extensive. The team explored several concepts before settling on an American location. The game was heavily inspired by several socio-political events. Ewan.
Is this Far Cry 5?
It is Far Cry 5.
I thought it might have
Thank
been.
goodness. Did you say first person or third person?
I
said
said
first.
first person.
First person. Okay, that was my mistake. I thought you said third person. And so I was like kind of in that mindset, but we got there.
Grueling. That was grueling.
What was the theme?
The theme was games that were announced at PlayStation showcases.
There you go. Yeah, honestly, that last, I think it was going fine up until the last one, and then I was like, this just sounds like any game ever. Like,
I was like, the last half of that paragraph that I was reading was literally the most generic shit you could have possibly
Yeah.
It has guns. You walk around.
Yeah, Wikipedia be like that sometimes. With that, let's bring an end to what was this week's episode of the Press Start podcast. Subscribe to us on Listener or the podcast service of your choice. Follow us at press.au and visit the site at pressstart.com.au. We've been joined today by Kieran.
Yeah, you can follow me on X at HASH_BREUN.
Joining us today was Harry.
Kieran
I'm here
too.
twice.
Kieran too.
You can also follow me on X at Harry_Kallo, Kalo.
And I've been your host, Ewan. You can follow
Kieran.
me on socials at Ewan_Roxborough. Thanks again for
Kieran3.
tuning in. And until next time, happy Kieran. Gaming.
Bye.
That was a joke.
Yeah, I got that.